You ever notice that? The second someone gets rich, they go silent. Completely. Suddenly. Deliberately silent. Their broke era? Posting 8 times a day, every meal, every mood, every opinion nobody asked for. But the rich era? One sunset photo, a vague caption, and then they disappear for 3 months like they entered witness protection. What happened? Did money steal their voice? No. Money taught them something that nobody talks about. That silence is the most expensive thing you can own. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why the quietest person in the room is almost always the wealthiest one in it. Here are 10 types of people who got rich and immediately lost the ability to speak. Number 1. The Ghost Mode Billionaire. One day, they're everywhere, tweeting opinions, posting memes, showing up in your feed like an uninvited houseguest. Then the money hits, and they vanish. No posts, no stories, no opinions. Just one photo of a rocket once a year and complete radio silence. Jeff Bezos used to tweet jokes and respond to customers on Twitter. Now he surfaces twice a year to show a yacht or a space launch and disappears again immediately. And people think it's mystique. It isn't. It's math. The moment you have real money, talking online means getting sued, getting canceled, or getting 47 texts from people you went to high school with asking for an investment opportunity. Silence isn't mysterious when you're rich. It's cheaper than a PR team. The Ghost Mode Billionaire didn't get quiet because they got deep. They got quiet because every word now has a legal price tag attached to it. Number 2. The I'm Humble Now Millionaire. This one is fascinating because of the timing. 6 months ago, they were posting discount codes, complaining about their landlord, and sharing their Cash App link in their bio. Then one brand deal hits, one business pops, and suddenly their entire personality becomes sunrise photography and quotes about gratitude and energy and the universe. They do a social media detox. They talk about peace. They start using words like intentional and alignment. Every influencer who hits 1 million followers goes through this exact transformation. And it isn't spiritual growth. It's fear. Because when you finally have something to lose, your old broke tweets become a liability. The I'm Humble Now Millionaire didn't find Buddhism. They found their follower count and got terrified of their own internet history. Number 3. The crypto prophet who vanished. For an entire year, they were the loudest person in every group chat. Buy the dip, diamond hands, this is going to change everything. They posted charts at midnight. They called people who didn't invest stupid. Then, somewhere in 2021, they made $40,000 on Dogecoin, bought a used Tesla, and completely stopped talking about crypto forever. Here's the truth about the crypto prophet. They made money and have absolutely no idea how. If they start talking again, someone is going to ask them to explain blockchain in detail, and the entire facade collapses. So they pivot to LinkedIn. They post quotes about systems and discipline and waking up early. They rebrand as a businessman. What they don't post is that they haven't touched a chart since the one lucky trade that paid off. The crypto prophet isn't building an empire. He's hiding from the IRS and hoping nobody asks follow-up questions. Number 4. The corporate sellout, CEO. You remember when they were funny? Genuinely, naturally funny. They had opinions. They made jokes. They called things out publicly, and people loved them for it. Then they got the company. Then they got the investors. Then they got the lawyers. And now every sentence they say sounds like it was written by a committee, reviewed by legal, approved by PR, and translated into corporate English by someone who has never felt a human emotion. Think about Elon Musk before he owned Twitter versus after. Same energy, wildly different consequences. Because when you run something real, every single word you say costs money. Every joke is a headline. Every opinion is a lawsuit waiting to happen. The corporate CEO didn't get mature. They didn't evolve. They just got expensive. Number 5. The family money kid. This one is different from everyone else on this list because they were never loud to begin with. They grew up wealthy, and to them, money is just the temperature in the room. Always there, never discussed. They drove a nice car in college without mentioning it, did internships at their father's company, and described it as stressful. They wore expensive clothes in neutral colors and said things were fine when things were clearly exceptional. To old money, posting your wealth is the most embarrassing thing you can do. It signals that you're new to it, that you still find it impressive. The family money kid isn't humble. They've just been rich long enough to know that showing off is what people do right before they lose it all. Number 6, the trauma rich. This is the most important category on this entire list, and the one nobody talks about honestly. When you grow up with nothing and money finally arrives, it doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like danger. Because the moment people find out, they come. Old friends you haven't heard from in years. Family members who had nothing to say when you were struggling. People who couldn't be bothered to show up for you when you were broke, suddenly showing up with open hands and fresh memories of how close you always were. So the trauma rich go silent. They change their number. They move without announcing it. They stop posting their location. They stop sharing wins. Not because they're ungrateful, but because they finally understand something that comfortable people never have to learn. That the people most likely to drain your new wealth are the exact same people who ignored your old poverty. The trauma rich didn't forget you. They remember everything. That's exactly why they went quiet. Number 7, the fake it till you make it influencer. When they were broke, attention was currency. They needed it to eat. Every post was an attempt to manifest the life they were performing. The luxury hotel room they saved for 2 months to afford for one night. The designer bag that was rented. The lifestyle that existed entirely in carefully curated rectangles. Then they actually made money. And here's what nobody tells you about finally making it after faking it. You go silent because you genuinely cannot explain how you got here. The story doesn't make sense. The leap from performing wealth to having wealth involves so many desperate years and questionable decisions that the real version isn't content. So they post black screens, vague captions. They call it a new chapter. They do not explain what the new chapter contains. Because the new chapter is mostly anxiety, imposter syndrome, and the quiet terror that someone is going to look behind the curtain and expose the whole thing. Number 8, the guilty rich. They made money during a time when everyone around them didn't, and instead of celebrating, they started scrolling the comments. Then they started seeing the replies. Then they started reading about wealth inequality and realizing that the system that made them rich was the same system that made everyone they grew up with poorer. So they go quiet. They stop posting the private jet. They stop showing the vacation. They donate quietly once a year and describe themselves as grateful rather than wealthy. Celebrities who used to document every luxury suddenly shift to posting their team, their craft, their process. Not because they sold the jet, because they read the room. The guilty rich aren't humbler people. They just finally understood that performing wealth in front of struggling people isn't a flex. It's a provocation. Number 9, the NDA Rich. These are the people who made real, institutional, serious money and signed 40 pages of paperwork the same day they cashed the check. Tech companies, private equity, venture capital, startup acquisitions. The moment the wire transfer cleared, lawyers handed them a document explaining in precise legal language exactly how many ways they are not allowed to be interesting in public. Ask someone who works at Google what they do, and they say tech. Ask someone at a hedge fund what they do, and they say finance. Ask someone who just sold their company for $80 million what their next move is, and they stare at you with the eyes of someone who has read the clause about voluntary disclosure. The NDA rich aren't mysterious. They aren't deep. They are legally, contractually, and very specifically not allowed to tell you anything worth knowing. Number 10, and the one that is honestly the most revealing, the God complex quiet. This is what happens when wealth doesn't just change someone's bank account. It changes their entire understanding of who is worth talking to. They got rich, and somewhere along the way they started doing the math. Their time is worth a certain amount per hour. A casual conversation with someone who cannot add value to their life costs them money. So they stop having casual conversations. They do 2 podcast appearances per year, and both guests are other billionaires. They attend conferences where the ticket price alone filters out anyone who isn't already in the game. They aren't busy in the way normal people are busy. They are selectively available, present only in rooms where the conversation has a dollar figure attached to it. The God complex quiet didn't become antisocial. They became transactional. And in that transaction, most people simply don't make the cut. So here is the uncomfortable truth that sits underneath all 10 of these. Silence at a certain level of wealth isn't a personality trait. It's a strategy. It's asset protection. It's liability management. It's the understanding that in a world where everyone is watching, the person with the most to lose has the most reason to say the least. The loudest people you know are almost never the wealthiest, and the wealthiest people you'll ever meet will likely never tell you so. So real talk, if you got rich tomorrow, which one would you become? The ghost who disappears without explanation? The trauma rich who finally stops answering calls? The God complex who starts calculating the dollar value of every conversation? Drop it in the comments, be honest, because the answer probably says more about where you are right now than where you're going. Subscribe to Storynomics, because we'll keep talking about money until we have enough of it to go quiet too.